over 3 months ago now, I started building a brand new custom theme park in Planet Coaster 2 called Discovery Studios, and I was going to have 5 different themed lands, all based on real life things. And over the past 9 episodes, we have ticked off 2 lands already. And this episode, it is now time to move on to the next, which is going to have the longest, tallest, and fastest roller coaster in the park. All of it wrapping around an entire area that is very unique to anything else we're going to have in this park. And I'm going to show you the full coaster build process and also a bit of that main centerpiece. We'll call it that for now, you'll understand it later. So be sure to watch till the end so you don't miss anything, including a work in progress POV. Be sure to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss future episodes, and be sure to go and pick up some merch that I have just dropped for pre-order. Link in the description. So then, the last episode of this series, episode 9, we finished off the Wallace and Gromit themed land and finished off that final coaster and a few other things there, walked out to the center of the park, and then this happened.
Defqon 1. Defqon 1.
And there we are, the next area has been revealed alongside the theme of it and the new coaster inside. It is one hell of a coaster. We're going to get into building all of this, and I'm going to talk all about that theme because some of you might still not know fully what it is, but we're here in episode 10 of Discovery Studios. I can't believe we're 10 episodes in. It is mental, but there's a lot more to talk about than just, oh, we're so many episodes in now, we're halfway through the series. We'll get onto that. We need to talk about the theme of this land. So, if you don't recall, of course, we've already built a Formula 1 themed land, which is, of course, a real-life motorsport racing series, a very, very popular one. You then have Wallace and Gromit, which is a very popular, well, in Britain, very popular TV show and sort of film series with these 2 characters, and they're very iconic in this country. Like, everyone knows who they are, and if you don't, what are you doing? And now we have the third area, which is different from both of them and the other 2 coming up, Defqon 1. Yes, you might have heard that said multiple times in the teaser at the start, but I am theming this area to the very famous festival in Europe, Defqon 1. Yes, it's a festival. I know, we have a motorsport racing series, some TV shows / film icons, and now a festival. What is going on in this park? There's so much. But that's what I want to try and do, is make everything really different, so each area feels like its own individual thing and you're not just walking into another film or another motorsport. Like, I want to make them all very, very different, and that's what I'm doing here. So yes, if you've never heard of it before, it's a huge festival that takes place in the Netherlands specifically. Funnily enough, it is right next to Walibi Holland, which is really weird because when you're actually standing at the main stage, the red stage, did you know it's red, by the way? You can actually see Goliath from Walibi Holland off to the left, and you can see like Condor to your left as well. You can see Untamed from where you get food and stuff at the festival. It is mad. So that is really cool. So that already links a bit to theme parks, but I actually visit that festival, and I have done for the past 3 years. It is absolutely incredible. I absolutely love it. I just wanted to make, as soon as I went there for the first time, there was this massive stage. I'll put it on screen right now. A huge stage back in 2023 that was so tall, and I just really, of course, being an enthusiast, could imagine this roller coaster just going back and forth and around it, and I think it would have looked incredible. So when I had this idea to make Discovery Studios and make a park where real life things were going to be in it, one of my first ideas was to make a huge recreation of the Defqon 1 stage from 2023. I know there's been one since that looked cooler or a little bit different, but that works best for what I'm trying to do here. Make that, make a coaster going round it, and it would just be incredible. And of course, with a recent DLC, the Sorcery Pack, having the Raid coaster or the Intamin Blitz, I can make a swing launch and a spike and everything like that. It was just too perfect. Like, I couldn't pass up the opportunity to build this coaster and this themed area. And well, one of the other reasons that I wanted to build it in this park, like, I could have easily just done it in a separate save and just built it for my own like sake and just to see how cool it looked, because I did think it was going to look really cool, and it kind of has done. But putting it in this park was a good choice, if I do say so myself, because all the other areas that I have planned, or, well, at the time I had planned, because I hadn't built any of them at the time, they were all sort of based on family thrill rides, so it was never really a stupidly intense coaster. Like, you know, in real life you've got like Hagrid's at Universal, very family thrill, where it goes quite fast, but it's not exactly like, wow, we're being whipped out of our seat and there's like -2 Gs of airtime, nothing like that. And then, of course, you have the likes of Voltron and Ride to Happiness, where they are trying to kill you. I wanted an area out of these 5 that would be able to have some thrill rides, or a big thrill coaster that would throw you about and be stupidly intense. And that's what Defqon has allowed me to do, because it's obviously a very sort of intimidating tribal look to it, and that's the sort of theme they go for with their festivals. I thought it would be amazing to build this huge stage and then have a coaster wrapped around it that is just flying about at a subsonic speed. It's supersonic speed, and just going through inversions and like airtime hills, outer bank, 0G stalls, a spike, everything like that, and just going absolutely crazy. So you're going to see it later when I start building it. It is flying around there. And I'm really, really happy with how it turned out. But talking of happy, and also the Ride to Happiness a minute ago, what a segue that is. This ride does actually have a lot of inspiration from Ride to Happiness, because they, of course, they've built that at Plopsaland, Belgium, and it's sponsored, if not made by, Tomorrowland, which is a huge festival, even bigger than Defqon in Europe as well. So I thought, if that can happen, why can't I make a coaster, an area based on Defqon 1? Because why not? Maybe at some point we'll do the huge left-right in the crowd, you know? If you've ever seen that, that's Defqon is where that's from, when the whole crowd is going left and then right, and then it's quite a cool moment. I've done that 3 times in my life, and it is one of the coolest things ever. But literally, I want this stage in the middle to be a centerpiece, so that we can sit there and do whatever we want around it. I can make a show, I can use fireworks and fire, whatever I want, we can do with this stage. We can base it on real life and sort of do it how they do it with the fireworks and everything. We could do some other stuff. I don't know what we could do, like animatronic pieces. There's just so much opportunity with this. And here comes the coaster. Yes, if I'm not talking enough already, here comes the ride we're building. The Intamin multi-launch swing launch right there. So basically what I did is I placed the station down at the front of the stage just to sort of get the sort of angle of it correct, because I don't want it to be a little bit skewy, a little bit off angle with the stage. So I made that, and as you can see, I'm already going up with the top hat and also that spike behind, which you're going to swing launch into. You're going to roll back off the top hat, go back into a airtime hill launch into the spike that is actually twisted, and then go into more elements after you surpass the top hat after a 3rd launch. I can't wait to take you guys through this sort of layout and show you what I've done, because the idea of this is, again, a little bit inspired from real life. It's always going to be inspired from real life rides. This one's going to sound crazy considering how mental this ride is compared to the one I'm about to say. A little bit of inspiration from the world of Jumanji and Mandrill Mayhem. Yeah, that probably doesn't make sense. But the thing about Mandrill Mayhem that's different from most coasters is, of course, I know it's a shuttle, that's not what I'm going for, I'm not making a B&M wing, you can see that. It's more so the fact that that ride very much goes around the entire area of Jumanji, and sort of, even when you're walking into the area, you can see it going above you, and wherever you look in the area, you can see this coaster. So I want that to be the same. I want you to be able to walk through the portal, come down to the ground, because you can see it's a little bit underground because the stage is so tall. It's like almost, I think it's almost 300 feet tall, which is ridiculous. So I had to lower it down a little bit just to not skew the sight lines elsewhere off too much. And as you can see, I'm actually building the coaster layout to the start. We're going to have one little launch at the start that will power you on towards that bank turn into the switch track. That's how that'll work. But yeah, literally, I had the inspiration from Jumanji, going around that entire area, wrapping around and going over the entrance of it and all that stuff. And I just thought that'd be great. Just being able to look left, right, up, down. That sounded like it was going into a song then. You can look wherever you want and you'll see this ride going. And hopefully we can whack on a few more trains so you can see multiple trains going at once and it will look really, really cool. And yeah, so that's that switch track right there. Because you'll have a train swinging in that launch bit and then going around the rest of the layout. It's going to be really cool and a lot more realistic as well, because I'm not going to go stupid where we do that first launch and then it goes a bit windy and then obviously you go into the swing launch, that's normal, and then towards the end we just whack another launch in. I'm not doing that. We are going to I was debating it whether or not to do that, but we're going to leave it off. As soon as it starts to die out of speed, we're going to just send it into the brake run at quite some speed, and then it's going to slow down, and that'll be your ride. Not too long of a ride, but thrilling enough that it could be one of the best coasters out there. You never know. You'll have to see for yourself when you see the POV later. I was having a lot of issues here with the switch track. I don't know why. I think I had it on the wrong option, but the switch track, despite being on the straight track as it came backwards, it would just derail. So I don't really know what happened there, but we got past that. And then there was a lot of issues with trying to manage the speed of it so it would go over the top hat at the end, but not go off the spike. Because every time it went up the spike and then came back down, it was 2 cars less than it should have been, the train. So eventually we got there though, and as you can see, occasionally zooming out as well, the stage has come a lot further than it did in that one time lapse at the start. I decided to cut a lot of the time lapse stuff because it just went on, and a lot of what I did, as you can see by the end of that section of the time lapse, you sort of just made one side and then duplicated it, span it around, and then sorted it out. So it was just a bit boring. So I thought I would, well, I wouldn't say boring, it was just tedious, I think that's the word. So I decided to leave most of that out, but if you want to see more stuff like that in the future, can do. I still need to build a lot of the stage, so I can always include that in the next episode, because there are still, there's 2 samurais that are also the coaster stalled. I don't know if you saw that, which was quite funny. There's 2 samurais which stand to the left and right of the stage. They're going to be standing there. And it's really cool how they theme these stages, man. It is so cool, where the swords that the samurais have are the speaker stands. You can see the speakers like on each tower that I've made. There'll be one of them, but it's a sword that the samurai has dug into the ground, and I think that's so cool. So yeah, that's sort of what I'm going for with all of this. An exact recreation, well, somewhat. And then you have that airtime hill over the top of where the DJ stand sort of is, and that 0G stall. I had that idea very, very last minute. I was like, oh my god, that's such a good idea. Because my original idea was to come down from the top hat, go round sort of the back towards the portal, and then loop around and maybe do something else over that. But I thought coming down from the top hat, having a Hyperia style twist down, and then going into a 0G stall would be absolutely incredible. So I did that. And as you can see, making some little adjustments there. Doing like a little S-curve, and then, oh, it's going so fast I can't even tell what's going on. Like a wave turn towards the front, and this is where I wanted to try and line it up to have an airtime hill or some sort of inversion going over where you come in to the area. I thought that'd be really, really cool, and you'll sort of see later on, and you might have seen already, I actually had way too much speed on this ride. Like, it is ridiculous how fast this thing goes. That this airtime hill, I thought, this will be the only thing that comes near the front, because we're just going to loop round and go back behind the stage. No, we went round again. I went underneath the stage this time and then came back. But you're going to have this entire area in the centre where those yellow cylinders are, and in between these towers where you are going to be able to stand, and there might be like a flat ride or 2 off to the left and right. But you're going to have this huge sandy walkway, and you're just going to be able to see the stage in front. There's going to be loads of like lights and everything, and occasionally there might be a show that goes on there, who knows. And then I had the absolutely insane idea to, instead of having that DJ booth right on top of the stage, like where they would be, like the artist or whatever, I thought, let's get rid of that, despite putting a lot of effort in making that, and let's have that as the entrance to the ride. So you're going to have, you see that red walkway, you're going to have some stairs that will lead up to that. Of course, there'll be ramps either side as well. And you're going to have those that will lead you up to the entrance of the ride through the middle of the stage. It's going to be absolutely ridiculous, but I can't wait. It's probably going to be the most... Technically, I know it's the show venue and that's like the stage for the show, but with the entrance underneath it, is that the biggest entrance archway at a theme park for a ride in the world? Maybe it is, I don't know. But as you can see, again, coming around, we've managed to do a full loop once again, this time doing a nice corkscrew / zero G roll underneath that Airtime hill. I thought that'd be really, really cool. As you walk in, you'll see that, and then it will just continue to loop around. You will see the rest of the layout is all right, but there's a few bits that just are a little bit slow. Obviously, you won't be able to see it on the time lapse because it's sped up to 1,000,000 times. But there's a bit towards the end where there's like 2 little hills, and they're very, very slow. You go over an Airtime hill, and then you sort of go into one final little wave turn into the brakes, a little bit slower. I thought after this time lapse, I then shrunk it down and made it so the end is a lot more punchy, and you've actually got an inversion going into the brake run. Not that it is the smoothest right now, but that twisted Airtime hill was quite nice. And I didn't want to sort of just lose the speed after that and just make the end really boring, because there's a lot of enthusiasts that will ride coasters and think, hang on a minute, the ending could have been way better. Why did they do that and not do this? So I'm sort of making it aware that I'm going to make it a fast ending so that the ride is a full punch. And with that being said, that is literally the final turn into the station, and then I'm just going to go and smooth everything out on the rest of the ride, have a look around, and, well, we're going to go and have a look around properly now, in real time. Welcome to real time. As you can see, we have the Defqon 1 themed area in front with the coaster. I'm in sort of like a bird's eye view-esque view, rather than being down on the ground, because there is literally no pathways yet, because all I've focused on is the stage and the ride. But the portal would stop about here, and you'll have some pathways that will come down towards the ground on ramps, all the way down underneath these 2 elements here, which would be really, really cool. Because look how fast it comes over the Airtime hill. Look at that. Whoa, there it goes. And as you can see, directly down the center, if we were to walk down, you have the stage in front with all the towers to the left and right, with the spike and top hat either side of it. And as you can see, the Airtime hill down the middle, going over the entrance. And yeah, this ride is just, it's such a spectacle more than it is a ride. That doesn't make any sense. But I feel like there's just so much more to it than just going on it for a POV. So as you can see, look at it go. Whoa. And then look at this top hat twisting down to the ground. Again, not fully smooth yet. There it goes all the way down. And then into the zero G stall directly over the stage as well. That is going to be great. Now, I did mention earlier about some samurais and some other stuff that's missing from the stage. I will just say again, this is not finished by any means. Even like the red paneling up the side that makes up these like squiggly line type things, those still need some detailing on them because they're not just plain red. And of course, these gaps here, I still need to build the samurais and everything. There's even more to do over here and onwards. There's still a lot to do. But that is what the coaster looks like going around. You can literally see it wrapping around the entire area no matter where you look. And yeah, it is quite a tall structure along with the coaster to the side. I am going to custom support a lot of the coaster as well, but look at it from like over here. You can literally see it above the trees. Look at that. I really can't wait to finish this full area. And with that being said, I'm actually going to give you a work in progress POV of this ride. It is a little bit rough in places, but I do need to smooth out a lot more elements in this ride. And here we go, the first launch. Nice quick turn towards that. This bit needs a lot of smoothing, so ignore a lot of this, but here we go. It's like a wave turn-esque thing there after the Airtime hill, and yeah, this needs so much smoothing. Outer bank. Oh look, through some orange paneling. And there's a little bit of a jitter from the switch track to the actual Airtime launch that I do need to fix at some point. I don't really know what's happened there. I think it was when I was having issues with the switch track. But here we go, reverse launch. Looks like you've lost power. All the way up the spike. We now have 2 spikes in the park with reverse launches and stuff. That's quite funny because there's one on the Wallace and Gromit sidecar coaster. Here we go up into the top hat. What a view of the car park. Down again, needs a bit more smooth in there. Zero G stall. Damn. Quick twists and turns. Wave turn again. Airtime. You can see how much pace this thing has. It's ridiculous. Outer bank. And here's where we go down. See, it doesn't need that extra launch, but I just put it there for the sort of block section use, which is annoying, but oh well. And that bit slows down a little bit just to give you a bit of a breather before you head into a very quick inversion, followed by a hit into the ground. And then here's where I updated a bit. So the airtime here was a lot lower, and then this bit's going to be unsmooth, but inversion into the brake run. See what I mean? Like a little bit more sort of punchy towards the end. So the ride doesn't die out of its speed at the end, so you just have that punch all the way through, rather than towards the end it just being a bit like, why is it still going? And yeah, I know that this is very much a work in progress at the minute when you're seeing this, and some of the stuff with the stage and also the coaster might not look correct right now, but I can guarantee you in the next episode we will complete the full look of this ride and the stage, potentially add 1 or 2 flat rides around the area as well, and work on the huge show that is going to be coming out of this stage right here. It's going to be big and probably one of the most spectacular things I've made in this game, so be sure you subscribe so you don't miss that when it releases, and make sure you go and pre-order some merch, link in the description. Thank you very much for watching.